Another exotic IM from an unknown brand. So hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for Thhifi Face Red. It's using one single dynamic driver and two balance armature and costs around $189. And just like usual, I'll break down this review from the build, fit, frequency, response, sound, and comparison. I love how they look. They just looks amazing. I mean, take a look at that. It's all metal with very precision cut on it. You could see some of the, I don't know, grill around here, and everything is made of very smooth and high-end looking metal material. And you can feel it in your hand that it's not a cheap product. It's actually really good looking, and it does feels good in your hand. The MMX connector also feels quite rigid and high quality. The cable itself is also good, but it's normal. But the main star is definitely how the housing looks and feel. I do think that the housing itself is a little bit chunky, but fortunately it fits really nicely in my ears. It's quite big, but the actual fit is really nice. The cable is also good, so I have no problem using them for hours. Now let's get to the sound of this IM. The tonality is simply somehow mild V-shape with more emphasis on the lower frequencies, and the mid-range is quite smooth, just a little bit thick on the treble to make things more exciting. Starting with the low frequency, I do think that this IM has a really thick and punchy kind of bass that will satisfy if you are someone who likes bass. I don't think that it's very bass head IM, but in terms of bass fullness, thickness, and texture, it's definitely good for you who likes bass. You can hear EDMs and electronic music really nicely here. It gets such a really good thump, but in terms of speed, I don't think that it's fast enough for metal or rock kind of music, but for pop or EDMs or electronic, it just performed really nicely. The mid-range itself is quite good actually. In terms of balancing the proportion of upper mid-range and lower mid-range, is actually really good, and it sounds balanced. But maybe if you are someone who likes vocal and you like very dominant mid-range, you will not find them here. The vocal, in terms of positioning, takes a step back compared to the bass. The bass is simply the most elevated frequency that you will hear from this IM, while the mid-range, even though it is nicely tuned, I have no complaint with the proportion or being too thick or too thin. Hearing male or female vocal, I have no problem with that, but it's just the position that it's definitely take a step back compared to the bass, so it will not be suitable for if you like vocal the most. The treble itself is just a little bit pushed around the mid treble area, but it's still smooth. It doesn't have any sharp edge or enticing any sibilance or forwarding any metallicness to it. It's just a little bit pushed around the mid treble area, making things more shimmering, like cymbals and also some percussion up there. It just get a really nice bite to it. But in terms of extension, I don't think that this IM has a really good extension. When I play some classical, I do missing some notes on the upper ends that feels kind of smoothened on the upper treble area. But other than that, it's a fairly smooth, well-controlled treble without going overly dark. So in terms of tonal, yeah, it's simply a fun, good kind of IM with mild V-shaped response. But the main star for me is that full, thick kind of bass, accompanied with smooth and well-maintained mid-range to treble area. But I do find that sometimes if the bass is too much, it can be a little bit distracting. But other than that, I do find that this is a good tuned bassy IM. Now, when it comes to technical, I do find that this IM is a bit lacking, because we're talking about $189 here. It's almost $200. And if we take a look for the perspective here, there are lots of great planers IM that has better resolution. Like for example, the S12 or the S12 Pro that is simply cheaper than this face red but have better resolution, staging, imaging. So when I compare them even with the S12 here, I couldn't find anything from the face red that could win against the S12 in terms of technical. In terms of tonal, yeah, it might be for your preference, but in terms of technical, it's simply the S12 is much better in terms of overall imaging, resolution, detail, and soundstage. Even when I'm hearing this kind of bassy IM with good separation, but when I compare them with like the KKZ HPB Con that costs only around $40, I cannot find that this IM is actually better in terms of technical compared to the KKZ HPB Con. So I don't think that even though this IM is tuned finely in terms of technical, I do find that this IM missing some incisive attack or some transient here. I find that the transient is a bit blunted, so when you hear piano and also guitar, I do find that the note definition is a bit blurred here. As an overall, this IM is tuned nicely with kind of bassy kind of tonality with fairly nice technical, but unfortunately for nowadays competition, I don't think that this IM could compete in. So for comparison here, I will put this face rate against the $135 the Shure S12 Pro, which I consider them to be both kind of good tuned V-shaped kind of sound, but in terms of overall, even though the S12 Pro is cheaper, but it sounds more coherent with overall better technicalness. It does have more sparkle and spiciness up there, but for me it's still more coherent sounding overall with better treble extension also. So as an overall, I do think that this IM is one of the best looking IM for around $200. When I'm holding it, wow, that looks and feels really great. The tuning is also quite good. It is bassy in a good kind of bass. Maybe it makes me remember the OG KKZ HPB. It has elevated bass with somehow laid back mid-range to treble, but still well tuned. It definitely reminds me of that. But my problem with this IM is simply the price. For me, there's a lot of competitors on this price point, especially great players like Dioko or the S12 or the S12 Pro that cost only near $100. That out-resolves this IM that has simply better resolution and details compared to this face red. So that's all I could say about this IM, and this is my final rank for its tonal and its technical, and this is my final score. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.